Well, my name is Francis Wilmore, and I'm an architect here in town at the ASL Design Studio. And while I grew up here in Lansing, I've been gone for about the past 7 years now. And after 13 countries and 3 continents, I'm back, and it's a little depressing. Because despite all the amazingly talented people we have in this room, there's a severe lack of architectural character here at Lansing. So I'm here to talk about it. So Nick, go ahead. So if you came hoping to hear about how to improve your leadership or public speaking skills, I'm probably not the person to talk about that, so just hop on Amazon later and pick up a book. But what I do know something about is how to create buildings with authentic character and meaningful purpose. I mean, so much of Lansing's character is actually receding at this point. I mean, I'm not saying we should dwell on forlorn factories, but they really did define the character of this community. So at this point, really, what is Lansing's character? I mean, do we have a character? We certainly have some buildings that maybe lack connection to the community, like this one coming up. Yes, this one. The construction company, you can kind of see, did the top 2 projects there, combined them, and voila, we have our Lansing building. This is not the character we need. We need our own character, our city's character. And we have buildings that are out of context. I mean, isn't it kind of ironic that the one that looks most photoshopped here is actually the real picture? But then you contrast that to what's going on across the river. I mean, here's a building that has been around. It was never meant to be an icon, but it's become an icon of Lansing and the industrial character. And at this point, it's almost dictating the context of the character of buildings to come, like the addition to the north. The addition to the north doesn't try to transplant something from another city. It doesn't try to be nostalgic to the past. It just responds to its local context and adapts this industrial aesthetic to the existing building next to it. Page 2. So why is it important to establish a character going forward? I mean, we're sending our entourage to Indianapolis, amongst other places, to generate ideas for Lansing and see what we can transplant here. But it's not about creating a one-to-one correlation. So what really spurred me to give this talk was a conversation I had with Gretchen Cochran of the City Pulse about this parking garage that's going in at the accident fund. She was asking about, what I as an architect thought about. I mean, what do you really say about a parking garage? Does it hold cars? Great, then it must be a good design. But then that really got me thinking, like, what more could a parking garage be? I mean, could it support its own energy needs? This building in Santa Monica, or this parking garage in Santa Monica, not only supports its own electric needs, it also has retail at the base level that is actually generating revenue for the city, and it processes its own rainwater. So, and then along the same lines, with an increase of 2% of an initial budget on a construction project, an investor could actually see a 10% return in the long run for investing that money in green design. I mean, those are monetary facts about what character is in buildings, but there's also this kind of abstract, emotional aspect to buildings. I mean, they define us as much as our house or office. I mean, do you feel connected to a McDonald's? Probably not. I mean, they're completely generic. These are the type of spaces that we just don't feel connections to and don't hold value over time. Your office and home probably aren't all that different than the McDonald's. There's a formulaic approach to these subdivision designs. Your cubicles design would probably look the same whether it's here in Lansing or in Bangladesh, and your subdivision would probably look the same just with more cactuses in, say, Phoenix. But we all strive for this emotional connection to our buildings. That's why we go back to our favorite bar for the atmosphere, or why we decorate our cubicles to differentiate us from someone else. It's all about creating this unique character for yourself. So how do we build Lansing's character? One more page. Well, 3 things. We need to embrace our existing neighbors, greet new ones, and enhance our community to invite new ones into the community. So what's the answer? Beer, of course. Let's embrace what we have here. Let's look at the buildings that are being underused, or the amazing taco wagon on Michigan Avenue, and how can we juxtapose these functions together? Or let's enhance while we have the chance. That parking garage could have supported a bike locker, say, or supported a sustainable commute to work. And lastly, let's ignite. Don't just think things are all right. We need to change Lansing. If we want to attract new neighbors, we need to be proactive. The former GM sites around Lansing that are now empty occupy a space equivalent to the entire downtown. Please, please, please don't let this become strip malls. So we need to exceed the generic. When we exceed the generic, we'll reinvigorate our community and we'll find the connections that we're looking for, and that will lead to a more sustainable, economically and socially community here in Lansing. Thank you.
Francis Wilmore bringing some heat for our final presenter of the evening.